Ever wondered what unicorns eat for breakfast? Okay, so I don't actually know, but I do know that 20% of all unicorn startups are using HubSpot, and for good reason. HubSpot's all on one platform levels up your sales, software, and support. Plus, they have a huge collection of resources to help startups scale. And with the HubSpot for Startups program, you could save big off your first year. To see if you're eligible to save on HubSpot, visit hubspot.com/startups. Good morning, everyone. It's Monday, March 11th. I'm John Weigell here with Cyan, Zhong, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Generation Alpha is making millions of dollars. A lot of kids these days have found a way to create financial success on the internet, on social media, and beyond. The question is, though, how exactly are they planning on managing that large chunk of change, and what education is out there to help them do so? I'm hoping to answer those questions today with the help of Cyan Zhong, managing editor of the Weekly Trends newsletter here at HubSpot, who wrote up the story on the finances of Gen Alpha. As mentioned before, we're joined by managing editor of the Weekly Trends newsletter here at HubSpot, Cyan Zhong, who just wrote a story about the business of helping Gen Alpha manage their money. Welcome, Cyan. Great to have you on the show for the first time today.
Yeah, thanks for the intro, John. Really excited to be here.
We're talking a lot about money management today. We're talking about specifically how that relates to Gen Alpha, who somehow, some way, we're going to talk about it, are making all this money. But first, let's just start off with what the age classification is for Gen Alpha.
Yeah, so Gen Alpha are children born between 2010 and 2024. So the oldest of them are turning 14 this year, and the youngest are just getting born.
And how much money are they making exactly?
It depends, but they're making anywhere from like a couple of $1,000 to millions per year. And those using technology to earn money tend to earn more.
Wow. Okay. And so how are they making this money? And you talked about using technology. I'm guessing that means more social media and stuff like that?
Absolutely. There are a couple of like high income channels for these young earners, and social media is definitely top of the chart. Mm-hmm. You have your creators, influencers, like there's a kid, Ryan Kaji. He's I think 13, and he's already have 100 millions of net worth. He's a YouTuber.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And then there's also gaming platforms like Roblox, which basically let users play other user-generated games on that ecosystem. And the top 500 earners on that platform earns 6 figures per year on average.
Wow.
And 50% of users of Roblox are Gen Alpha. So you can just imagine like a lot of them are making quite good money there.
Yeah, both my cousins under the age of 12 are completely addicted to Roblox. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Usually they're just watching Roblox YouTube all the time.
Oh, yeah. And if you're a YouTuber for Roblox, that definitely could get you quick money as well.
Wow. Makes me rethink my career choices a little bit.
Just a little bit, yeah. There's also a slightly more traditional routes for kids to make money, like e-commerce. It's honest work, obviously, but they tend to make a little bit less, unless you are this kid called, I think, Pixie Curtis. She became a millionaire at 11 because she's the CEO of this like toy company. And yeah, she retired at 12. I don't know whether she's going to come out again in the career path, but right now she's retired, I think.
Wow. Okay. So at age 12 or 11, I definitely wasn't even thinking about a career, let alone retired from it. And I probably wasn't making any money at that age. I don't know if you were, but definitely like 11, 12, I'm pretty sure I was just like playing video games in my basement.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was not making money at all.
Okay. So that's the fascinating part about this is that people in Gen Alpha, like these young kids, are getting out there on the internet and actually making some sort of income. And a lot of them, as you mentioned, make thousands or millions of dollars. What do they do when they get that money? And that's, I guess, the crux of what we're talking about today. But is it kind of more important than ever for parents to teach their kids financial management and how to properly manage their finances?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, at that age, you're not really expected to be financially prudent yet, right? Like teenagers are, I think, storming into Sephora to buy anti-aging creams these days, which is just beyond me. But, you know, like they are influenced by these social media trends and they're trying to splurge. I mean, obviously, I would want to splurge if I'm a kid and I'm just getting my hands on some money. So I think it's very important to build that financial literacy and talk about money. It's also a top priority for their millennial parents.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, given, I'm assuming, are you a millennial as well? Because I am.
I'm a younger millennial, yes.
Younger millennial. I think I'm also around there. But, you know, when we were growing up, I found that financial education was very hard to come by. They didn't really offer it in schools. I don't know if you had a similar situation, but around the house, it wasn't really like talking about money. Didn't really know what a stock was until I was maybe 18. And even that, it was more like a construct than a thing that I used on a daily basis. So now, how are businesses trying to reach these kids, I guess, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, a lot of businesses are actually noticing this trend and this new wave of consumers or, earners. And financial institutions specifically are really capitalizing on that. They are basically offering them checking accounts. That's the long and short of it. There's a fintech unicorn called Greenlight. Their debit card is pretty popular among parents and kids. Capital One's got their own teen checking account. So yeah, there's definitely options out there, but it's a little lazy that you just sort of like tweak an existing fintech product and just like slap a kid logo on it and make it kid friendly,
Yeah, just put some really bright colors on it and like a cartoon dog and
Exactly. Yeah.
So there seems to be a lot of offerings actually, which is very surprising to me that a lot of banks are trying to kind of get into that market, but also makes a lot of sense given the income that's going into younger generations these days. But can we expect it to get even more specific and specialized over time? Because this seems like a lot of right now just, oh, here's a checking account or here's a debit card and go crazy.
Yeah, I love that description. Yeah, definitely. Especially with the surge of AI, we can definitely expect those offerings to get a lot more specific for kids, especially when it comes to financial education. For example, Gen Alpha is like over 2 billion of them, and they're supposed to be the most racially diverse generation ever. So there's so many opportunities just within the Gen Alpha that you don't have to cater to every kid, right? You could cater to culturally diverse kid. You could cater to neurodivergent population. So there's so many opportunities to make it more specific. And with the help of AI, personalization is definitely going to be a driving force of that.
So they're all going to be kind of getting their niches soon, and there are going to be companies, I feel like a lot of startups probably coming out of the woodwork, essentially doing this sort of thing probably, right?
Yeah. I actually recently wrote about this company called Sumo Wealth. They're basically building a financial education app that's very culture forward for US Latino youths. And their users are mainly Gen Z, but as Gen Alpha grow up, very soon they're going to start using these kind of apps. So, and they definitely use AI personalization as well. So yeah, I could definitely see a wave of apps emerging that are more innovative and more kind of culturally precise.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds really great, I guess, for education perspective and to kind of educate from a young age about finances and money. Makes you grow up real quick, it sounds like, but at least the education will be there for anybody that is kind of making this large sum of money. But now that they are making money and they're spending, you said, a little bit on Sephora, they're spending a little bit on some other stuff, what can we expect from them in terms of social causes? And will spending increase across the board there as well for things that, maybe they care about?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Gen Alpha is really aligned with social causes like climate action. They care about brands that prioritize sustainability efforts and all of that. So we'll definitely see kind of an alignment, whether it's in terms of direct purchasing behavior or even just indirect investments. Because I know a lot of teenagers or even tweens, they're already starting to invest using like custodial accounts set up by their parents, and they're considering these ETFs, these green funds. So yeah, one way or another, we're going to see some cash flow into these cost-based investments or these social causes that Gen Alpha align with.
I mean, that's awesome. It's insane to think about doing that stuff as a 12-year-old, but that is pretty incredible that we have this new generation of very smart and wealthy people kind of coming into the world at a point soon. What does the future of this look like? Where do you see Gen Alpha kind of entering the economy, and what do you see as their kind of big stake and big power in the economy going forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I see a lot of smart young people contributing to the economy right now. And given their, similar upbringing in terms of the internet age, I think Gen Z or younger Gen Zs will be able to soon pass down their knowledge and become mentors for these Gen Alpha kids. But then you also consider their parents who are millennials, and millennials are kind of anxious financially, right? They have way less money than their parents' generations. So they really want to build that cushion for their kids. So they're already setting up like investment accounts, funds, whatever for their kids. So one way or another, they're going to be really set up for success, these Gen Alpha kids, and they're going to be going to a world and making their impact very soon.
It's really exciting. And I'm glad that they're going to be set up for success. I feel like millennials came at a weird time, as you kind of mentioned, and then Gen Z started to make a little money on the internet, and they kind of paved the way for that. And it seems Gen Alpha is really capitalizing on it. So it's an exciting succession to see how this thing goes. And I don't know, the next one after, I guess, is Gen Beta, maybe?
I was just thinking about that before this. Like, when I have a kid, he or she is going to be Gen Beta, and that's not great.
That ain't great.
That ain't great.
We don't like to hear that. Yeah. Well, Cyan, I really appreciate you coming in today to talk about this story, and would love to have you back if you're up for it in the next few weeks to talk about more trending stuff. But in the meantime, really appreciate being here, and thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. This was a great convo, John.
Thanks. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Our editor today is Ezra Tripiano, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go get yourself signed up at thehustle.co/email, and we'll see you tomorrow. Hey, everybody, let me tell you about this great podcast that's available right now. Creator Science, hosted by Jay Klaus, is brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, which is the audio destination for business professionals. Creator Science goes behind the scenes with today's top creators. Through narrative interviews, Jay Klaus explores how creators like Tim Urban, James Clear, Tori Dunlap, and Cody Sanchez are building their audiences today. And by learning how these creators make a living with their art and creativity, Creator Science can help you gain tools and confidence to do exactly the same. I was actually listening to an episode recently where Jay had on Dr. K, who is a Harvard psychiatrist. And Dr. K helps a lot of creators with performance, burnout, and dealing with a lot of negative feedback online. It's a great hour of conversation with Dr. K, where Dr. K really breaks down what it means to be a creator today and the burnout that a lot of creators do experience and what to do when you get that burnout, because you will. And you can listen to Creator Science wherever you get your podcasts, and I definitely suggest it. Listen to Creator Science wherever you get your podcasts.